What is up, guys? Barokoshama here with another video. I know it's been a while since I've done anything, and I'm sorry about that. I've just been really busy. But trust me, guys, these next videos are going to be worth the wait. What we're going to be doing here is taking a look at every boss and giving you guys an in-depth guide for those bosses, starting with Heroic Aggramar and Heroic Argus, and then moving into Mythic bosses after that. What I want to accomplish with this playlist is show you guys an in-depth look and point of view of my character and how I deal with the mechanics of the bosses while maintaining high DPS and staying alive, obviously. We're going to be looking at tactics and strategies for these boss fights, and I'm going to be giving you guys tips and tricks on when to use your CDs, Maelstrom management, moving on GCDs, etc. in order to kill the boss but look damn good doing so. So, without further ado, let's get into our first video, Heroic Aggramar. Alright, quickly I just want to cover what talents you should be using for this fight, or which talents that I recommend. Since Gamble build is the meta, we kind of want to lean towards obviously a single target build for this fight. The majority of the fight is obviously single target. Yes, adds do spawn, but the way that the boss is dealt with, you don't necessarily have to do a shit ton of AoE damage. Therefore, a single target build is going to be mostly the best build for this boss. Starting off with our talents here, we want to go into Totem Mastery, as for this tier it is the best one. Gust of Wind for an amazing mobility that it offers, as well as Lightning Surge Totem for those oh shit moments in case adds do almost get to the boss, but then you can stun and deal with them. Aftershock is the bread and butter of the Gamble build, so you want to be going into that talent if you're rocking those legendaries that go with it, as well as Elemental Blast and Echo the Elements. Elemental Blast and Echo the Elements just scale phenomenally with this tier, so it's recommended that you choose them. Ascendance is the name of the game for this fight. It's the build that I use. Ice Fury is very clunky, and I only use it in very specific situations. Ascendance is just a lot more simpler to use, so I definitely recommend using it. Alright, starting combat with Aggramar, we want to make sure that we are not targeting the boss, as this is important to not pre-pull with Fire Elemental. Pre-pot and pre-cast Elemental Blast into a Flame Shock, and then get rid of our 2 stacks of Lava Burst. We then want to spread out and recast Flame Shock to get Elemental Focus buffing that Flame Shock. Going into Ascendance, we want to make sure that we are keeping an eye on Wake of Flame and not getting hit by those Flame Waves. Getting rid of our second Elemental Blast spell, as well as using Earthshock at max Maelstrom. Coming out of Ascendance, we want to make sure that we actually don't use Stormkeeper, as we want to save it for the add phase. Wake of Flame is coming out again, and we want to make sure we keep an eye on those waves, and then get ready for Taishulek's Technique to stack up on melee. If your group pushes the boss fast enough, you actually won't get the full Taishulek's Technique. You will spawn the adds right away. This is where we want to be prepping for the add phase. Using Stormkeeper and getting rid of those Chain Lightnings on the adds is going to boost your damage a crap ton. Flame Shock both adds and make sure you're doing kind of like this cleave rotation on them, getting rid of Elemental Blast, as well as using your Earth Shocks at appropriate Maelstrom count. Want to make sure that you focus these adds down as much as possible just to push the boss out of its immunity. We're going to then recast Flame Shock and go into the next portion of the fight. In this portion of the fight, we're going to be spreading back out for Scorching Blaze and keeping an eye on those adds that are left over from the previous one, the Embers of Taishulek. It is up to certain classes in your raid group to CC and deal with these adds, while your raid leader or officers call out which ones to bring in one at a time. As shamans don't have any CC to deal with them, we can focus on our primary objectives here to deal as much damage as possible, maintaining our Maelstrom management, as well as dealing with procs as they come up. It is important to note that the flare mechanics area of effectiveness is actually larger than it would seem, so that being said, you do have to stay away from it as much as you can, otherwise you will die. At this point in the fight, the boss will be nearing max energy again, at which point it will cast a second Taishulek's Technique. Your objective here is to obviously stack on the butt of the boss, but I don't here, for Flame Rend. Keep in mind that for when the second Flame Rend comes out, you will need to get far away from the boss for Searing Tempest. Searing Tempest is a one-shot, just like all those little blaze mechanics, except it's just massive. So stay away from that. Your objective here is to just simply avoid mechanics, get down those last few embers of Tashalek. Remember that your raid officers and raid leader will be calling out which ones to bring in at a time, so as shamans, like we mentioned before, we don't really need to worry about it. We can save our Thunderstorm and Lightning Surge Totem for an oh shit moment, so we have those utilities to help out the raid. During this time though, the boss will still be casting Scorching Blaze on targets, so as a range it is important to always be spread out and stay away from melee as much as you can to not affect their area of combat with Blaze that's still going out. At this point in the fight, Aggramar will be doing another Tashalek's technique, so stack up on the boss for Flame Rend and deal with the mechanics according. If your group pushes the boss fast enough to 40%, he won't finish this Tashalek and he will go straight into Aegis. This is where we're going to be popping our Stormkeeper again and getting as much damage into those adds as possible. We also will be lusting in this phase, so keeping your cooldowns for this phase is also very important. You will also see here that we have Ascendance coming up, as well as using the second Potion of Prolonged Power in our arsenal. One thing to note, that the flares that are going out in this portion of the fight are going to be spawning wakes of flame. They will spawn in a triangular motion and will shoot out the direction of which they spawn in. You will see here that when the flares actually come out and after they explode, 3 of the flame wakes will spawn and then shoot out in their directions. So keep an eye on these little devils and make sure that you just don't get hit by them. Saves your healers a lot of stress. Moving on, your raid will still be dealing with all the embers of Tashalek that are still out and about. Again, your raid leaders and officers will be coaching in which ones come in at once at a time. So save your utilities, Thunderstorm, and Lightning Surge Totem for any oh shit moments if you need to knock back any of these embers. The boss will be reaching max energy at this point again, so dealing with Tashalek's technique is a must-have. Stack up for Flame Rend and deal with the mechanics accordingly. If all goes well and you deal with everything accordingly, you will have a kill in this fight. The boss is going to fall over any moment now, so congrats on your kill, guys. Thank you so much for watching the video. Again, my name is Barokoshama. If you liked my video, like it if you like it. Subscribe if you want more Elemental Shaman content. I'm going to be putting out a lot more videos for boss guides. If you guys want to check out my Twitter and Instagram pages, I'll be leaving the links to those in the description of the video. You can also catch me live on twitch.tv where I do all of my live broadcasting. Come say hi, and I can answer any of the questions that you guys may have. Anyway, thank you so much again for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Keep calm, and Maelstrom on.
Yeah, I don't know why
Beware.
they were like directly in the center.
How did you have the boss again? What the fuck?
John's got Tashalek.